I'm so sorry. I did not know that this was live.
I'm sorry, it was not, I didn't make it plain to you. How are you feeling better?
Yeah, I was felt better by yesterday, but it was a terrible day that day. So I'm so glad we didn't do it.
Oh, no, no, I wouldn't ask anyone. I've never had that problem, and I would not ask anyone to work in it. Anyway, we have nobody yet in the chat,
Okay.
but that's okay because they come in around one or so, and so we just kind of start.
Yeah.
And I have my board where you can see it. Ronnie's here. Yay! Ronnie's always here first thing. And this medium Kim, and we're going to get into that whole introduction. And Melinda Dutcher. And I'm going to warn the people that are in chat, I'm back to having to read off my little bitty screen over here, and I cannot see my little bitty screen over there real well. So questions are going to be kind of limited. But this is what I always do, Kim, at the beginning of my show is I roll out kind of how's this show going to go?
Uh-huh.
And it said, be flexible, be ready to consider what you're thinking about. This is your values. But it said that my spirit is tying to old things I knew before, and we just finished talking a little bit about that, and that my mind and my body are moving forward through this, but I'm going to get great clarity in the present. So it's like stay really, really present, and the clarification will come.
Beautiful.
So that's where we are, guys, because we were just discussing there's a zillion ways to look. I mean, when I started researching this to kind of catch up with where Kim is about crystalline DNA, and this all came from the vision I had of on the board of the crown chakra, where I ended up sort of on Broadcast Hill, which is a place in Dallas where all the TV antennas are. They're going up to the sky, and they're there to, and what I saw was we were standing on the top and we were becoming crystals and joining with the tower, and the energy was coming down through us and going back out and broadcasting into the universe. And that's what happens when you're in this higher consciousness. And that ends up when I started reading about crystalline DNA, which I hadn't known about. Kim mentioned it to me, and it ends up I've been channeling all this stuff that has to do with crystalline DNA. Thank you, Kim, for opening my eyes up. There's a word for what I do.
Wonderful.
So, Kim, do you want to explain kind of what you do and how you do
Yeah.
it?
Well, yes. So the reason that this came up for me, well, I mean, I've known it for years that we have crystals in our body, energetically. The human body, and I just think it's so amazing because we're like a moving crystal. Our bone structure is crystal. Our whole body is electromagnetic. We have magnets, the north and south side of our body as well. The water, even our water, right? I mean, Dr. Emoto said we can program the water. We can program our body, even just like we can program a crystal. So I think this is amazing. And there's parts of our body that hold crystals more, and this is more of an energetic crystal. So a long time ago with Donna Eden, I learned what's called the diamond inlay. And at certain points in the body that are like diamonds that can get activated at certain points in your life. And what's happening now, since our consciousness is rising, these diamond lights are lighting up more. But it's also a time, there's times that they light up more, but we want to be ready. We want to be, there's things we can do to prepare ourselves to allow this opening. So to allow more light, to allow more, in a lot of the points are really on like our shoulders and our knees. I mean, where we actually have points in our body. So I thought it would just be a wonderful discussion to talk about this. And thank you, Nancy Jean, for bringing us together in this way to talk about it. I mean, even our fascia is crystalline. Anyway, the earth is a crystal. So, I mean, and I think as our consciousness rises, we can activate our crystalline body even more. And I think this goes along with what you're saying about the DNA being activated now as well. One of the things that I know, that's a simple way to activate our crystalline body. And I was just asking Mother Mary this morning, by the way, like, how can we activate our crystalline body? And she always talks about love, and she just says, love yourself. and be kind to yourself. That actually activates the crystalline grid in your body too. But or sitting by a tree, right? Sitting by a tree and you're connecting to the earth crystal with that tree grounding and going up to the heavens. That's another way to activate this crystalline grid in your body. We also have what's called an assemblage point. And maybe a lot of people may not have heard about this, but so let's just say our soul lives in our body. And in our heart chakra is a very active part of our whole soul consciousness, by the way. How that's why we focus on the heart so much, right? When we meditate or when we breathe. But outside of the heart, about 18 to 24 inches, and I know you can't really see me, but we have a spot. It's called the assemblage point, and it's actually palpable. And I want to have everybody maybe even try to feel it on themselves. But what the assemblage point is, it's how we view it's our cultural in the way we view the world. And it's like the lens, and we can have our assemblage point together and we're following the good path, or our assemblage point can be kind of shattered for whatever reason. Maybe it's trauma or abuse or drug and alcohol. Then the assemblage point gets shattered and we might be off our main path. So it's kind of like if we're lucky, we're on our path and we're going forward in a positive way. But it's important for the diamond point, because the diamonds come into the assemblage point, and then that comes into your heart, which goes into your soul. So they're all connected. It's like a line. The soul, the heart, the assemblage point, the diamond inlay. So one way, and I'll show you now because I think it's fun. Well, I guess it's fun for me, maybe not for everybody. But you want to, if you want to feel your assemblage point, you can just, first of all, I would just shake your hand, rub your hands together, just kind of activate that energy on your hands. And you want to maybe first just ground to the earth. One way you can do that is you have your hands down. And I'm going to have to step back, I think, a little bit. You kind of hold your arms out and you're grounding with your palms facing the earth, and you can ground that way. You can sit and do this or stand and do it. And then you flip your hands up to the heavens and you're going to ground to the heavens. You're just bringing that heavenly energy in with a big breath. And now slowly, we're going to gather our assemblage point. If it's shards at all, if there's little splinters or shards, so you go real slow. And maybe you're going to go about 1 to 2 feet or 18 to 24 inches out of your body, and you're gathering the points, and you might even feel the point. I'm kind of feeling it actually. And you don't really touch your hands, but just notice now, feel here in this area of, again, this is about 18 to 24 inches. Notice if you feel something here. It's very palpable, and if you're sensitive, you might feel it. You may not feel it, but like I can tell if I go too far out, I've gone past my assemblage point. If I come in a little bit, I can tell I'm right about that point. Okay, so now imagine you're kind of giving your assemblage point love, and you've gathered it together. You can figure eight it to your heart. But imagine now our fingertips are calling in with our consciousness. We're calling in the diamonds, the diamond inlay from it's coming into our fingertips, and we're kind of activating this assemblage point. So you can just imagine it happening. And remember, since this is a higher consciousness and we are becoming more conscious, we can do a lot with our consciousness. All right, and so we've got this now coming in, and we're going to just bring this consciousness and the light from the diamonds and our assemblage point. We're just going to hold it into our heart. And just allow it to sit there. Now we've got the assemblage point kind of together. Let's activate a little diamond. Is that okay to do this now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we're going to activate some diamonds. So from our heart, well, actually, let's come back out. We're going to grab the diamond energy all around us, and we're going to come into the heart. And we're gonna go back onto the scapula as much as possible, where these are small intestine points. It's about discernment, but also this is where your angel wings are, right? The wings. Okay, so you're kind of where the angel tip, they attach the angel wings. And just breathe here for a sec. And then you're going to bring that energy up to the back. What's called the power point, where the head and the neck meet. And there's right in the middle.
Right. It's
okay,
a little concave. It feels like a little concave.
Yeah, so we're going to just hold that point for a minute. And, when you're doing this at home, if you want to do it again, do it a little slower, probably. Now you're going to take your thumbs, leave the thumbs there, but you're going to move your little finger to above your ear. These are spleen points. That's about, and if you can, it may be hard to reach those, or maybe you do your thumb here and you do the power point with your fingertips. You're just connecting the power point. These are about adapting. The points over your ears is about adaptation and bringing in new energy, metabolizing new energy. Now you're going to pivot your fingers up to the top of your head. You got your crown, and just holding your adapting points over your ear to your crown. And now, for just a moment, keeping your thumbs on the adapting points over those neurovasculars, the main neurovasculars over this is actually a really good place to hold your hands for maybe even a couple minutes. We won't do that as long here, but
I know that's an important part in tapping, when you're tapping in.
Yes, and also when you're holding here, the idea is you're bringing blood to the frontal brain. See, it's a light touch. You're not touching real hard, because otherwise you're going to be pushing blood out. So you want to feel the pulsing of the blood. Okay, and now you're going to just spread your fingers across, and you're going to shoot up to the diamond point up above you, like up. Okay, and just imagine that about 3 or 4 feet above you. And then you can even imagine there's a point, right? And just imagine it. Again, we're using our consciousness. We're putting ourselves in that diamond. And I take it out, and then all the way down to the earth, there's a point below your feet. And I usually do this like 3 times, down and up and down and up. Okay, like that. And now you can just bring your hands to your heart. And that's a nice way to end, or wherever you feel comfortable about bringing your hands, whether it's your third eye and your heart together, your solar plexus. And that would be something you could do to yourself, or even if you could have somebody else hold those points for you. Hold the points outside of your body too. And that's really powerful, by the way. When I've had it done to me, it's very grounding, but it allows you to fly as well. So I know that's a lot. I didn't really plan to just jump into there and do that.
That's okay. Poor Kathy G said, damn it, I came in late. We kind of did head, shoulders, knees, and toes with our our heart point.
Oh, yeah.
That's the most active I've ever made my group work. Usually they watch me toss a few stones and they're eating their lunch. But that was great. I used to do something similar to that when I used to teach my World of Woo, and I was teaching business people who thought they had no woo. I'd have them center that PowerPoint into their hands, and you can start to feel the ball in your hands, and you can feel the warmth. And then I'd have them move it out a little bit and kind of push in till they felt they could feel the energy spongy again. And I'd have them build it out till it was the size of a basketball, and then have them split it over their head.
Oh, nice.
So that they could kind of get a sense that your body has energy. The other thing about what you talked about, where your heart is from your body, I was watching a woman shaman that I liked. I don't know where she went. She was on for a while. And she was talking about how she wouldn't let people beyond a certain point close to her body, because that's really where her heart energy was.
Oh.
So she was very protective of the front part of her body.
Interesting.
I mean, it's just another point of view on that.
Well, right. I mean, I think we can build it up to be stronger. Again, this assemblage point is really important. because you want to have that together as we are going into our higher consciousness and allow the diamonds to come in.
Well, I'll tell
You
you
know,
one thing I felt when we were doing it.
uh-huh.
I felt a tight little spot on above my heart. That's been one of those points that I get when I'm channeling too much or moving too much information in. It
Oh,
actually, I have a little tiny ache that shows up in my heart. I've been to a couple cardiologists and it's nothing there.
yeah. I wonder, is that because you're moving more energy or something?
Well, apparently I'm becoming more crystalline, which was what fascinated me about the crystalline DNA. And
Uh-huh.
it's why when I went to see my doctor, she said, quit taking vitamin D. And I said, I'm just taking the amount you're supposed to take to,
Yeah.
support your body against COVID. She said, you have 5 times the amount of vitamin D you're supposed to have in your body.
Whoa.
And so we looked at what it was, and one of the masters that I work with that's on this planet told me it's because so much of my tissue is becoming crystalline that it's hyper refining the vitamin D. When I get any sunlight,
Um,
I get like it reflects around in my body. I don't know if that's true or not.
nice.
I just know I'm not taking any vitamin D and I don't have COVID. So
Okay. Well,
that's
that's
how it
good.
works.
Yeah. I mean, and when, you can look on the internet, there's a lot of stuff about how our bodies are crystalline on the
Mm-hmm.
internet, our bones, our fascia, you know, and it only makes sense. And I think we don't really know how important that is. We can program if we can program water, we can program our body. I just feel like we're getting to be better manifestors too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole thing to jump into 5D, I think this would be so important to know. I mean, to consciously be aware that, yeah, we have these crystals and diamonds and we can just activate.
Well, we have that energy around us. It's a matter of availing ourselves of it or being afraid of it, saying, and you can feel it. That's why we feel lighter, because we don't have the density
Uh-huh.
of
Hmm.
being down the more human. And, there's so much about our DNA we don't know. When they did the first genome mapping, they said that only 5% of it was useful for constructing the shell that we live in.
Oh,
95% of it they called junk DNA, and I remember hearing that, and I went, "It's not junk. It's there for a reason. It's at least
yeah.
at least called a space holder or something." Well,
Yes.
that's when other countries, Russia and parts of Europe, they started doing more graphing of the energy around the DNA, and that's when they came up with this thing. I don't know if I can get this. I'm going to try and see if it's still there. It's not there. I found a graphic, and I'll post it on my site tonight. I'll say this is a graphic you didn't get to see, but it's from a specific group called World Consciousness, I do believe, and it's a really interesting picture of our DNA. The two. If you know anything about DNA, you know it's two threads that are kind of woven together.
Mm-hmm.
And then they found these extra points out, and I can't.
Uh-huh. It's the double
There's a
helix.
double helix, and then there's these 13. I found the picture of it. It's a crappy picture, but it's much better if I could share screen, but I'm crappy at this sort of stuff. Okay, that's it. See the double helix?
Uh-huh.
So that's two. This part's two. And then there's 11 more, the master number of 11 out. That's how many other fields they found beyond that
Uh-huh.
energetically. And they now know that a lot of what we call junk DNA is out there working in those realms, in those other power fields.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which
And
is
go on.
I was just going to say, like the diamond inlay that we have within us. I mean, it's a universal connection.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we have the diamond within us,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually within the auric field. It's not outside.
Mm-hmm.
Some points of it might go out, but in general, it's within the auric field. This kind of
Mm-hmm.
a shape, but it connects us to universal consciousness.
Good.
Yeah, and it exists beyond our own self, our own genes, even.
Well, Bruce Lipton worked a lot with that. the
Okay.
biology of belief. That's when he
Uh-huh.
said our belief system and our own energies that we carry reflect into these other walls within ourselves that we don't acknowledge. And there's just a whole lot about that we don't know. Matter of fact, a friend of mine knew we were doing this on DNA today. She didn't know what we were doing with DNA. But
Uh-huh.
she sent me a CNN article about how they found a new form of humanoid that was on an Indonesian island and it never got off the island, and so its genetic group is completely encapsulated in that area. And
Hmm.
none of those genes have ever been out anywhere in the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
They never broke loose from that place.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of stuff we don't know yet
Oh, yeah.
that we think we know something about.
Oh, I know. Exactly. I mean, then I go back to, again, what Mother Mary said today. How do we activate the diamond inlay in the consciousness? I mean, she was just so love
Mm-hmm.
yourself. That is like the biggest healer of all and the biggest activator of all. And I believe that. So it can be simple what we do, but simple can be powerful.
That's right. One of the things I read about was some of the older faiths, from Vedic to Native to the indigenous peoples and different groups who believed in this field beyond the field we thought we were all tied to. That's kind of how they
Mm-hmm.
talked about it, and they've related that now back to the DNA. One of the things they talked about, which I thought would be of interest to you, is they talked about color. Color
Mm-hmm.
as a pathway in to having people understand.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, the color classes that I'm working with right now and some groups, oh my gosh, it's amazing. We go all over the place with color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're traveling to past lives, future lives. We're, um, animals, people, the world.
Good.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
I mean,
Also just to think about, we've got this new moon coming up. I know
mm-hmm.
I'm jumping the subject a little bit, but I'm wondering how we can combine this knowing that we are crystalline, which would be a good time to manifest, maybe get your assemblage point together and then think
Mm-hmm.
about what you want to create this new moon coming up in September 6th.
Yes.
So it's a good time to know about that. Of course, all new moons are a time to start something new, to try to manifest. I say try to manifest something new.
Wait a
Um,
minute.
yeah.
I'm about to desert you for a second, Kim. Keep talking.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I'm not going anywhere. I've got to go sit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So anyway, I think that would be, I'm going to put it on my calendar to not forget, because sometimes I do forget to do the full moon, I mean, the new moon
I wear.
activation.
I have the moon. Oh, I can't. Well, yeah, I can. It's kind of weird, but I have the moon on my watch, so every time I
Oh,
look down, I know what phase we're in. Someone was
oh.
talking about acupuncturists using those points into our body,
Hmm.
the meridians.
Well, yes, I I think you can, but I think you want to make sure it's with that consciousness of the diamond inlay, because there are a lot of them that are on the meridian lines. The diamond points are
Mm-hmm.
on the meridian lines,
Mm-hmm.
but again, I think it's the consciousness and the intention when you're
Right.
working with those points.
Right.
Hmm. Some of the points are inside of on the body. Some of them are off the body.
Mm-hmm.
But even now, when I'm imagining that I'm encased in
Mm-hmm.
this diamond thing, and it's helping leading my soul, and I know if there's a point on the top and there's a point on the bottom, that makes me feel secure. I'm almost like I feel like I'm tucked in. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine that with me? Does that make sense what I'm saying? I feel
Yeah.
I'm secure. I'm tucked in when I know that I've got that activated, and you can do a lot with your mind.
Right. Well, what I do is I seal myself in an egg every day,
Mm-hmm.
in an egg shape, and it reflects out.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and I do that to protect myself, so I'm not running around hearing everything everybody's thinking, which kind of makes me nuts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
There's another way you can do that too, that if you feel like some people who say, oh, I'm so sensitive, and I shouldn't be doing this kind of work, but those are the people that should be doing this work because they are sensitive, right? But just to learn to manage that sensitivity. And like you're talking about the egg and you're reflecting out, you can also like puff it out or push the energy out that you feel like if you're getting bombarded with energy, imagine that you're kind of like pulsing it out. So that it's not coming into you, but you're pulsing it out. That's another way to do it too.
And there's, if you guys go and look online, because I couldn't capture the images, but there's some DNA specialists that were working with cancers, and they began to see these crystalline forms slowly growing off the DNA they were working with, and some of which was healthy, most of which was healthy. That's what they were trying to really get a close view of, and they're absolutely spectacular color shows as it grows out. It takes a long time. They had to put their growth cameras on very, very slow. But there's some really fascinating stuff that our DNA is doing now, and it may be, it's always done it, we just didn't know it before. But I think it's being revealed to us so that we can figure out a way to use that information.
Well, yes, but also I think we're more conscious of everything, and we are changing. So there's a reason to get to know it more, because things are speeding up.
Right.
And the vibration is going up. So we are going to be more likely to be aware of that changing within us.
And it comes from self-love. I mean, that sense of taking care of the self, taking care of the body, finding these points, taking the time to learn about it, so that you can move forward. And some steps from someone who's been doing this for a while, they kind of put a paper out in the last couple months, and they said the steps, they also swim with dolphins and whales, so they must live in some place that's got a lot more water than Dallas. If I tried to do that in Dallas, the World Aquarium would take great exception to that. But they said self-love will help that crystalline DNA unfurl. Food and water, and to pick good, solid, real food, not processed food, and to make sure you have lots and lots of water to process all of the things you put in your body. And then one of the things she said that had worked, that she's finally been pushed to understanding more, is out loud decrees, actually commanding the crystalline DNA to activate by saying, higher self, thank you for activating this DNA for me now. Speaking to the elements that help you move forward.
That's wonderful. It's, it's like our DNA and everything about us is being updated. It's like a computer system being updated, right? I think that's where we are. We're getting updated, and in all forms, in all ways. And so even though there's so much going on in the world that we could, like, oh my gosh, right?
Are we moving backwards? I mean, people may feel they're moving backwards, but it's just we're moving forward so fast.
Yeah.
We can sense being left behind. One of the things I spoke about in one of my earliest shows was Rory Duff, who's a geobiologist. He watches the planet, and he watches ley lines and energetic lines and all that stuff. And in 2018, scientists, because we can only see so far into the universe, and we didn't realize it, but our galaxy was spinning out of a cloud, a dust cloud that had protected it from the subatomic particles. A lot of the ones that they used to have to fight to try and find. I remember they'd build these rooms and try to trap them. Well, we've now moved from the universe that was buffering us from these to we're fast swinging out, and started in 2018 really big, that we're fast swinging out, and within a couple of years we'll be in a part of space where we don't have that cloud anymore. And that answers a question that scientists had for a long time, because they could find every 14,000 years there'd be a mark in the rocks. There was a change in actually the the crystalline structure of the rocks. And so they were wondering what causes this. Well, it's a swinging out of this cloud that we sort of always thought was going to be there. And guess what, guys? It's not there anymore. And so that one of the things that he posed when I watched him interviewed by Pam Gregory was, no, it was interviewed by someone Pam Gregory had led me to, was how is this going to affect us? What's going to happen? I mean, if it did this to rocks, and we could go back and see rocks, what's it going to change in us? And when it really swung in, they said something's going to show up in 2019. And I asked, not this, there's too many Kims in the world of Intuitive World, but Intuitive You, Kim, and I were doing a thing, and I said, is it possible that you talked to your guides, but that we swung out, and that had a lot to do with why what should have been just a virus turned into something of a pandemic in the human form, that it upgraded COVID to let it to attack us in a way that seems almost artificial. And Kim said she got chills, and she said, oh my God, that's where it did come from. Because the person who approached me said, did aliens plant this on the earth? And I got immediately, no aliens. Then I remembered this conversation with Rory, and the time he was talking about that we were passing out, that's the time that these subatomic particles come in and start causing could potentially cause problems. We don't know. It's maybe not a problem. Maybe it's upgrading all of us, but it's changing all of us every day. Every day we're taking a bath in these babies. So.
Yeah, I agree. And did you notice anything unusual 2 weeks ago? Not this week, but like I guess last week. Did you notice more spiritual activity or?
Yeah, it was the emergence from Lionsgate. Everybody I know was dragging their butt into Lionsgate. It was just like, it was exhausting. They couldn't figure out, why am I feeling so tired? And of course, nobody wants to feel tired in the era we're in, because then you think you got a bad bug. But matter of fact, I heard Molly McCord, who does an astrology thing. She's interesting, pretty detailed. You kind of have to know some astrology to follow her, but she was talking about how Lionsgate just about beat her to death. She just couldn't believe it. It made her so tired. I had so many people saying that to me, and I just thought I was dragging it because I was just finishing channeling for 30 days in a row, which is like an awful lot. But a lot of people wrote me. We were doing daily chats during that time. Thank you so much for the people who are contributing to us. Oh, that's lovely.
I can't see anybody, by the way, in my
I know,
view.
she can't. She's in Zoom. She can't see anything. Kim can't read the questions.
Yeah. But, I think this is, again, we just have to remind ourselves that we have the opportunity to raise our frequency and raise our vibration, using the assemblage point, using these diamond points, and we can improve. And, again, we're updating our internal grid, or internal crystal grid. That's what's happening.
You're getting rewired.
Yes, getting rewired. And it's like now, I would imagine too, tell me if I'm wrong, Nancy Jean, we've got the grid, just like you make your grids. We've got a grid inside our body that we can activate in a similar way.
I found, I'm so glad you dragged me into this sort of topic, because it's not one I'd really looked at. I mean, it wasn't that I just didn't even know it was there. But in it, I found a whole chapter in a book on why my grids work. About how people get their energy tied into them. Sue Toffee wants to give a special thanks to Kim. That angelic crystalline form you gave her is going to be very helpful, she says.
Oh, thank you, Sue.
Thank you and love.
There's more. I want to do a little bit more on that too.
Okay, we can do more on any.
I'm talking about. I'll do a whole video maybe on it.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what I like about this, because like when talking with you, then I'll find other things and I'll go do my own video. I like to talk with other people though, because it's like they present me with information I wouldn't know. And someone wrote me a note and said, why are all these collaborations coming up now? Why are all these readers getting together? Is it just so they can rake money off YouTube and stuff? I mean, she was in a bad space, this lady. And I just wrote her back and I said, well, no, one, if we make any money, it's because we're just like you. We live in that material world. But two, we collaborate because we spark off each other. And we learn things the other one doesn't know, and that just wakes me up and makes me more aware, and I think I can bring a richer understanding of the world we live in to the people who follow me and maybe spark something for them. That's how I learned all the stuff I know. Someone talked about one day, and then I went and looked it up.
Yeah, I mean, I find what's happening for me is that it's coming up again and again. Like something like I learned about this diamond inlay about maybe 10 or 15 years ago, but now here it is appearing again, and it's morphed a bit. By the way, I don't make any money on YouTube. I don't know about you.
No. If I had to make the house payment on YouTube, guys, I'd be out on the street, even though my son owns the house I live in.
I mean, there's not even $1. I don't even get $1. I don't even, so it's not about, anyway, I mean, I guess some people do, but I don't.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What else do we want to talk about on this?
Well, I've got one more thing. Every day I pull a crystal, and I usually do this at the beginning, but we got so interesting so fast that I didn't. But today the stone I pulled is tanzanite, and it means clarity, and that's a beautiful sample of tanzanite. And the only color, that only shade of blue only comes out of Tanzania and the countries that immediately border it. And tanzanite is for the third eye, which we're definitely working with today. Everybody's head ought to be going raw, raw. This exquisite crystal assists in cleansing and opening the third eye chakra, expanding your awareness and creating a deep sense of clarity, which I think is perfect with what we first looked at today. A new way to clean and open our power. And it says it opens your spiritual wisdom, sharing this knowledge from the heart. It opens and activates third eye chakra, enhancing clarity, vision, and imagination. It assists you in communicating with the higher aspects of yourself, creating deep knowledge and wisdom, and allows you to see with clarity. So that was then I pulled that at 9 o'clock this morning.
That's actually perfect the way that matches.
It does.
Wow.
That's what happens every day. It's kind of fun.
Right on. Good. Amazing how that works.
And I found out that the woman who wrote this, the deck that I used to do this, Raquel Charman, she's an Australian. And they're crystal reed oracle cards. They're wonderful cards. The illustrations of the stones are gorgeous. That's why I got it. I love the pictures. I'm a picture book girl. But I'm going to have, next week, Jeffrey Ripecolor is going to come on. We're going to talk about color and sacred geometry. And it ends up, he sort of, it's kind of an Airbnb for psychics that are traveling around the U.S. And he lives in Manhattan. And so he has a spare room that's apparently lovely because people stay there. She spent a week with him the week that this book was being published. And she left him a copy of it, and he said, and he was talking to me about her, he said she's absolutely charming, and she lectures all over the world on crystals and how to use them. And she talks about the divas in the crystals.
Oh, yeah.
She's got a really interesting point of view. I mean, I'd love to sit and talk to her sometime, but
oh my gosh,
not tomorrow.
Oh wow.
It's
and
hard enough.
Again?
Her name is Rachelle, Rachelle, Charman, Charman.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I know it's amazing. It truly, I mean, all the that we should just treat ourselves better. I just feel like part of this is that we should value ourselves better, treat ourselves better, like the crystal that we deserve, or the diamond, like we are the diamond, and to treat ourselves like a real diamond.
Yes.
Take care of us. But people forget. I mean, I forget too. We all forget these things. It's easy, so maybe this is just a little reminder. For everybody to do that.
Yeah, I was reading an article put together by a psychic, and she said, I get so into my soul and I get so understanding and then I have to go do the laundry. That's where we all live, guys. We have to go do the laundry.
Yeah, when my children went to Waldorf school, I don't know if you are familiar
Yes,
with
I
that.
know. I just found out about it. I heard Joe Dispenza's children went to Waldorf.
Okay. So, in the Waldorf school, they teach you, it's a very spiritual school. It's very
Mm-hmm.
creative and artistic. But they talk about having the laundry be as a spiritual experience.
Mm-hmm.
And for the moms, and they're encouraging the moms, or whoever's doing the laundry, that you have a day devoted, and your spiritual self is doing this is in a spiritual way, and you're very careful. You're very mindful when you're
Mm-hmm.
folding or when you're putting it in the laundry or whatever you're doing, these mundane tasks. But if you're careful and make it beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
it can be a spiritual experience.
Okay,
And
I'll trust him on that.
but yeah, just imagine you're
You know, I
folding.
understand. No, it's
Yeah.
anything you do that you do mindfully. It's how I cook. Well, especially when I was on keto and doing keto, I was very mindful of all the food and what was in the food I was eating. I had to be. I didn't have much choice. Welcome, friends. Stay tuned. Oh, people are loving us. What can I say? But
Oh, that's
if you
sweet.
really, really like this show, put lots of thumbs up, because when you do that, then YouTube spreads it out, and I can see I've had more viewers. And I keep forgetting to remind y'all to do that and share it with friends you think need to understand that they're becoming. One of the terms I came across that I'd never heard before was we're going from Homo sapien to Homo luminous,
Oh, I love that.
humans with light. I,
Yes.
and
Well,
um, and like I said, if you get into really looking into this, you find out there's um, Vedic. There's a lot of Vedic teachings about it. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a whole shamanistic thing, which
oh yeah.
I'm gonna ask Danny about. Danny's gonna come on tomorrow and talk about shamanism. We're gonna talk
Okay.
about that as a path. I mean, there's a lot of different paths that are all
Hmm.
saying we're going to becoming multidimensional beings.
Yes.
We're not just going to be that one-dimensional, three-dimensional thing.
Yeah. Exactly. It was Carlos Castaneda that
Mm-hmm.
coined the term assemblage point.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that actually described it first. Well,
Oh.
actually, Donna Eden and Carlos both did, but they
Mm-hmm.
decided to use the same name.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's so
Friend.
important. Yeah.
That's funny you mentioned him, because a friend of mine asked me yesterday when she knew what we were talking about today. She said, "Did you read Carlos Castaneda?" And I said, "Yeah, when I was in college." And trust me, that was like 50, 60 years ago. And she said, well, a lot of what you're talking about, this awakened consciousness, was what he was talking about. And it's
Hmm.
just people are beginning to find out that they don't have to take a funny plant or eat something to get there, that the power lies within us.
Yep. You can, yeah. And again, I just want to remind everybody to get that assemblage point together so that the diamonds can get into it. So
Mm-hmm.
that when you gather that, because it's like this, the way you view the world and how your culture affects everything really a lot, and your soul is where they kind of come together. But if you can gather if there's any leftover pieces, trauma or whatever, put it all together and then allow the diamond to come into that. And that's going to make you more powerful and strengthen your divine purpose on earth. That's going to lead you more into the light and feel more fulfilled.
And
Does that make sense?
you've just talked about some. I get some every time I open up things to questions. It's like, why am I here? What is my purpose? You
Yeah.
know, and I can lay a few cards and say you might be on the right path, or oops, you made a wrong turn. Let's go backwards. But
Uh-huh.
really, I think I don't know if you agree with this, Kim, but you can't come to one of us and find out what your purpose is. You have to find it yourself.
Yes, yes. And I mean, of course, I think that's true. And actually, the thing is, even if you go off what's quote the right path,
Mm-hmm.
there's always a reason. I mean, there's always a learning, and that's
Mm-hmm.
why we're here to learn. So there's no judgment about that.
There's no.
But
Mm-hmm.
but you can there is an energetic thing. Again, it's the energy of this assemblage point. If you gather it together, you're going to be more likely to be on the good path, the right path for you.
That's right.
I hope that
Do
makes
you
sense.
want to explain that again? We've had so many people come in since
Okay.
you did that awesome gather your heart up thing.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So, and I kind of drew a little bit. This isn't really a great drawing. But okay, let's just say we've got our soul in here, and this is our body sideways. And we've got our soul, and then maybe we've got our heart. Really, this is more like the heart soul.
mm-hmm.
And then here is this assemblage point. And it's only about 2 or 3 inches around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this is like the diamond out here. And you want to get the diamond to come into the assemblage point, to come into the soul, so that, and you want them all to be connected so that your path, you're going to go forward. This is more like a universal consciousness. This is like your consciousness, your soul path, but you want them all to be together.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so one of the ways you can do that, again, so if you can imagine, we've got, it's palpable. The assemblage point, because it's important, it's palpable. It's an energy field. You want me to stand up again and do that?
Yes, please.
Okay. See, I'm not exactly matching today, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Okay, so I want to just rub my hands together because that activates the energy, our sensitivity in our hands. Because if you want to be able to feel the assemblage point, then that's what you want to do. And then, so we're going to ground ourselves. This is a little different than how we normally ground, at least for me. The hands facing down, and just imagine that you're grounding to the earth as you're doing this. And you can do it out here or on the side. So you're grounded to the earth. Now we're going to flip our hands over and we're going to ground to the heavens. And just breathe, right. Letting all the heavenly energy come into your hands. You might feel it. I feel a little tingling.
Yeah, the heavens are heavier for me than the grounding.
Ah, wow. Okay. Now, slowly, we're gathering the assemblage point pieces. If it's not all together, okay? I mean, I don't know what's the percentage, maybe 50-50, whether it's all together or not, but let's just imagine, just in case you have any shards or any broken pieces of your assemblage point, you're going really slow, and you're going to be reaching. I can tell I'm about 1.5 feet from my body, and I can actually feel right here. I can feel this point. And if I go too far out, I don't feel it. So I know, like I don't feel it here either. I feel it here.
Okay.
So play with that a little bit. See where you feel it. Okay, and as you're cuddling this assemblage point that has your sole purpose, basically, if you're on the right path, it's really important. Now you're going to imagine with your consciousness, you're bringing in the diamonds from the universe, which is a little, farther out. You're bringing in on your fingertips the diamonds, the diamond inlay to yourself, to your assemblage point, the universal consciousness. And breathe there, pulling in the diamonds. And now you're just going to breathe that energy to your heart. And that just kind of gathers your assemblage point, okay? Now, we're going to come back around. We're going to add more diamonds to our body. So we're going to go out again. And then you can do this again if you want. We've already just did that. So we're just going to slowly gather again. You can go a little faster this time. And now reaching more. Now we're just reaching for the diamonds. So I'm really stretched out, reaching for the diamonds. The whole diamonds of the universe in our body, our whole field. And now we're going to bring that in. It's on our fingertips now, consciously here. It's on our fingertips. We're going to take it to our scapula. This is where the angel wings start, where they are connected. And breathe here. And you can have somebody do this for you as well. These are the wings to the heavens and wings to the earth. So, we're grounding so that we can fly. Now we're going to move our fingertips, and we're going to move it to the back of the head here, this power point, which is that indent where the neck and the head meet. And we're just going to hold that for a second, or a minute or so. with consciousness now. This is a diamond point with consciousness. We're activating that diamond. I feel like it's smiling. I don't know. I get a smiling feel with it. Now I'm gonna move my fingers. I'm just sliding it over to the top of my ear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And actually, I'm going to switch it to my thumbs, and that's where we not oh my gosh, metabolize, adapt, and where I'm going to still connect the top of my above my ear about an inch, and to the PowerPoint if you can, if your hands can do that.
Tiny hands.
You have to have big hands, okay? I actually feel like touching these 2 points together feels a little magical to me.
Mm-hmm. It cuts the ringing in my ears.
Oh, really? Okay, now I'm gonna pivot my fingers to the top of my head. This is the crown chakra, of course. We've got another diamond point there. We got diamonds on above. Every point we're touching has diamond points. Now I'm going to pivot my fingers down to these frontal neurovasculars. Just hold it lightly on the forehead, along with this. This is also a triple wimmer point, which means about fight flight. So we're calming any fight flight response, and we're bringing into peace and calm here. And you're going to spread across your forehead, spread across to the ears, but you're going to shoot up now. We're going to shoot up to that diamond point. We're going to go up, and then imagine you got a point down, and then I actually like to take it all the way down to the earth, point, and up. I do this 3 times. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know, by doing this, it just helps manifest it to me. You're moving.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and now we just come to our heart, or third eye, or both of them together. I'm doing heart and third eye now. And just hold it and just breathe in peace. And love for yourself. Remember that love heals everything, and love opens up these diamond points. I just now imagine your whole body's filled with diamonds, all the points inside and outside, and you're in the diamond case. There we go. It's nice to do that. Do you feel a shift?
Yeah, I did, and this time I didn't have the sharp pain in the top of my heart.
Oh, good.
So apparently doing it a couple times, guys, will clear out old junk.
Yeah. But it's nice to do that. You can do it to yourself, like we just did.
Another person said when she did hear that it quieted the noise that she hears in her ear.
Oh, nice. When she did it like this? Okay. Yeah. Those are magic points to me. Another magic point I love is the third eye and the power point together. So I do like 3-finger notch and 3-finger notch to the power point. And I breathe, and to me, that's magic. I don't know. It's like the back and the front of the third eye.
Yeah. That's really a good, interesting spot.
Isn't it? And it's great to do on somebody else too. This is to me is magic. I don't know why. It's just magic. 2 magic points together.
Great.
Yeah,
and everybody's loving you. This is the first time we've had calisthenics in my group. I'm a city sort of talky sort of person, but I love it because there's, I love it. I've watched, if you guys don't follow Kim's channel, I've put the link to how to find her in my description so you can find her. She does wonderful things. She does a lot of rolling energy in, rolling energy out, clearing yourself off, and a lot of figure 8s.
Well, I don't know. To me, movement, it moves energy. And then the more you practice it, the better you get.
Right.
It's just like with your consciousness. You can consciously do the same thing, but to me, by moving it is actually touching versus by imagine being touched. To me, the touching actually activates it a little more, and also verbalizing it, what we're doing. You're talking to your body. You're telling your body what you want. You want to activate the diamond inlay. You want to, and bring more light into your body.
I think
all that.
we want to talk to all those happy little crystals and get them happier. That was what amazed me, though, because I could feel grounding when I had my arms out. But when I put my arms up, I really feel weight. I really felt energy coming in from above
Uh-huh.
into my hands more than.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't normally do this kind of a ground, but I think it's an awesome thing to do, especially can imagine leaning up against a tree
Mm-hmm.
doing that. That would be magic.
Yeah, I have a park I walk down that's when it's not 103 degrees like it is today. Um, Down that's by a creek, and it's got some big, huge old live oaks that are there.
Hmm.
And I just lean it. There's one that I just lean up against. Someone tried to kill it once, and now it's a lollipop tree. The trunk's really big, and then there's just this almost topiarially sort of cut. I don't know what happened to that poor tree, but anyway, I
Oh,
like to
wow.
lean and talk to. I call it the lollipop tree.
Yeah. Well, trees are very conscious. You know,
Mm-hmm.
their consciousness talks to our consciousness. It would be I think one of these days, actually, you know what, Nancy Jean, I bet you it's not going to be that much farther in the future that everybody is going to be able to talk to trees and things.
Mm-hmm.
And those people that aren't probably are going to be, I don't know what, I mean, I know you've talked about the 3D and 5D and stuff, but I'm not sure how we're splitting up. There's got to be a little bit of a split in this, the
Mm-hmm.
people.
There
Like the,
is, and it's not that the all of a sudden the grass is pink and the sky is purple, or and you get off. The first time someone discussed the ascension with me, I said, "You mean like we're all our souls are going to get in an elevator and be somewhere else?" I mean, I had like no concept. It took a while for me to begin to understand what she's talking about, and then I was informed that I already knew because I had been through it when in Atlantis that I watched
uh,
them go backwards.
uh-huh.
And so, um, but I don't, I don't think any of us are all of one of it on any one day. I think there may be some
Oh,
people
yeah.
who are kind of knuckle dragging their way through the 3D, but that's a very wrong thing to say because it's a very judgmental statement, and that just pulls me back into the 3D. I had a conversation with someone last night, and I said, I'm not going to listen to any more of this because it's just pulling me backwards. And I think it's
Uh-huh.
just that sense, that level of awareness that you don't want
Mhm.
that vibe in your life.
Yes. Oh, yes, I know. But it's being able to be aware of it, I think, is the important part.
Well, we've had people get lightness in their heart, their ears are quieting down, they think we're both great teachers. Whoa. I mean, this is good stuff. Self love's been very important to me. Um, someone else has been reading on crystalline DNA and how it's turning on activating other areas of our DNA that we're not sure what it does.
Mhm. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And so I imagine it won't be long. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Um,
But I don't, I'm not sure we have to figure out everything.
no.
If we just trust it, we
Mm-hmm.
trust that it is happening. I think that's good enough. You know what I mean? I just the trust that it's there and that it's happening.
Yeah, because
Um,
we don't have a frame of reference for it.
no, no.
And I can't. They're just places I can't imagine living in, places I can't imagine seeing things. But it to me, okay, life is like knitting. This is my box of chocolate story. Um, Whenever I learn a new knitting stitch, and I do some very complicated ones, I'll work for 4 hours on a stitch, and I will not get it to where it looks like it's supposed to look like. I'll tear it all out and leave the test piece there. I'll come in the next day, and because I've rested on it, let it filter into my mind. All of a sudden, I can pick those needles up and knit it like I've done it all my life. Or something that
Yeah.
was so beastly hard at first because I had to teach. You're teaching your hands and your mind and your visual things a new pathway. And I do that all the time. I knit these giant, great big projects that are different things every block because it keeps it nimble and it reminds me to be humble about what it takes to learn something.
Oh, yes. Sure.
And I think we're all like that. We pick up these skills and we go, I'm going to have crystals where? I'm going to do what?
Well, you know, and I think it can happen without us knowing about it, but it's even nicer if we know about it and can and activate it ourselves too. So, and remember, the love of yourself
Mm-hmm.
activates a lot. Maybe we should put that on the refrigerator. Remember to love yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you know, and the other thing is, if you want to increase sort of where your thoughts are, um, I put sticky notes up around my house and goes, "What are you thinking?" Just that's all a note says, and so it stops me, so I become conscious of why I'm walking in a place or what I'm doing, because the only way you can change is if you get out of that 90% unconscious thinking that we get programmed into
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
move into the being consciously aware of who you're thinking. The other one is if I hear something that tells me, oh, you can't do that, or why are you even getting out of bed this morning, um, I, I track it back to whose voice it is and I thank them for sharing and then kick them out of my head.
Yeah, thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Anyway, we've got some people saying that they've been watching about some shamans and other native healers, medicine people are beginning to share their 4D medicine with
Oh,
the more traditional world.
uh-huh.
And so they're kind of, I mean, I think everybody kind of, you come at this from the direction you can best see it,
Mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah,
So, do you have
yeah.
any wrap up, Miss Kim, that you want to share?
I just want to encourage everybody to feel confident in doing this and
Mm
knowing, just feel confident in how wonderful that we all are inside, outside, and that and our body is a magical crystal.
hmm. Mm
And
hmm.
truly we can activate it, we can transform it, we can program it, we can send it good love and it responds. And I just want everybody to really put that in their heart and take it with them when they, you know, to go forward and to know even just thinking about it will help. So that's all. And thank you so much, Nancy Jean, for having me too.
Well, is there anything else you want to say about what other services you provide? Because this is
Oh,
also a
okay.
forum for people to understand what you do,
Sure,
other
sure.
than,
Well, yeah, I mean, I do a lot of teaching lately. I've been doing some teaching the clairvoyant, the clairs and the mediumship.
mm-hmm,
I rotate, and then I teach color classes. That's actually been the color classes have been my favorite, honestly, because boy, the, I don't know. It's just magical when you work with color. People don't even have a background in color. It doesn't matter, but we're just using color for healing. We're using
mm-hmm.
color to do readings. We're using color to get in touch with our spirit guides. So there's just a lot of ways to use it. So that's really wonderful. And I also do readings, of course. You know, more media. I tend to go more toward the mediumship, but I do, you know, psychic mediumship readings. Hmm. Yeah.
I have a friend who's in your course right now, Margaret.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yes.
she's just said to make sure I said hi to you, and that
Okay.
she's absolutely adoring your class.
Oh, good. Thank you.
And she's a very good, sensitive lady. It's taken me forever to get her to talk her into going out and trying different things, you know? Go try
Yes.
it. If you don't like it, don't do it, you know?
Yes. And she's wonderful. I know who you're talking about too.
Mm
Yeah, she's a wonderful, wonderful lady. I know. And I also work in hospice. I still work hospice part-time.
hmm. Mm hmm.
I still am
Well,
a nurse. I still do my nursing part-time on the weekends.
mm hmm.
So
And,
yeah, it keeps me pretty busy.
and
And
Kim's,
I have a dog and a son.
okay. Those will keep you busy too. I have a cat and a son, and a daughter
Uh-huh,
with a dog, and a
uh-huh.
son with a cat. So we've got all
Okay.
kinds of critters. We're critterfied completely. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for coming on. This went in a whole direction that I'm so glad we found it, because it brought together sort of a more practical way of looking at some of the stuff that I was looking at. It's fascinating. We're going to have more stuff on crystalline DNA, guys, if you like it. And I think they do from what they're saying. Um, and I will let everybody go because we try to stop this at an hour. Thank you so much for those who contributed today. Thank you for every thumbs up. Thank you just for having your spirit and your energy here, because that makes us all stronger. And I'll see you tomorrow at 1 with Danny Shea on shamanism. I have Jeffrey Ripecolor, and I got to figure out exactly what day it is. Dr. Maggie Doolittle is going to be on my show Tuesday, I believe, and talking about being a pet